Yeah. Alright, no, it starts too fast. I'm not ready. Okay, hold on. I'll try to start my timer with the beginning of the run. Close enough. This will also be like a good reminder to me about how the run went, where it can save time and stuff. Alright, so the start's pretty straightforward. I don't think I did anything stupid. I got a 208, so that pretty much means I didn't lose a significant amount of time in the training barrels. Like I was 0.4 from the gold, so that's not bad. You can lose 0.4 just from like unoptimal text box mashing. So should look pretty standard here. Yes, this run glitches to the end and back to factory and beats the game in under 30 minutes. Under 27 minutes now for the first time that I've done. I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit, sounds kind of loud to me. Alright, barrel it is. So, the reason I do the orange barrel and the barrel is because each of these moves serves a purpose in the game. I don't actually have to do all the training barrels, but I need to be able to throw barrels to complete Lanky phase of Rool, and I need to be able to throw oranges to cutscene skip key 8, as well as use a lag assisted trick to get into factory early. I reset the console after completing the barrel because it auto-saves. And the next thing I want to do is activate intra-story glitch from the main menu. So fastest way is to reset. And here's the first split coming up. Starting intra-story. So intra-story glitch is very complicated, but basically what it does, like the side effects are complicated, but pretty much it runs the intra-story cutscene, which is like 5 minutes long, in the background of the game, and meanwhile you can play in adventure mode and do stuff. There are certain things, like if you watch a cutscene when the intra-story is ready to fade to the next cutscene transition, then you will get pulled into the intra-story, so you have to avoid that. The thing to note here is that I have to get tag barrel storage within 55 seconds of starting intra-story cutscene. Intra-story glitch, or else I'll get pulled in. I got it second try in this run, which is pretty good. I think I have I get 5 tries to do it normally. With tag barrel storage active, I now have an invisible Kong, and that has the side effect of being able to teleport upwards when you climb up a ledge. The first one is guaranteed, but the second one only works on every other frame, so 50% of the runs that I get die here. Oh, it looks like I lost a few seconds backing up to the ledge there, but I did get it. I paused there just for stability of the camera. Oh, that's pretty lucky. So I got the first try clip through the eye, which is not that reliable. This trick could go better. I guess this is where I could save some time on the key 8 section. So I gotta get a moon kick on the edge there to reach this pipe and clip out of bounds. This is how I'm gonna enter Hideout Helm early. And then additionally, I have to deload the room so that I don't get B-Locker's text. If I hit his text box, then it will trigger the intra-story cutscene, and that will pull me out of the game, so I don't want that. My whole goal for this section is that while the intra-story is playing in the background, I'm trying to collect key 8 and return to the main menu. And we'll see the reason for this after I get there. Okay, slope climb went pretty well. And I recall that I did not get first try switch kick, so I think this took a few attempts. This trick is pretty annoying because even if you get a moon kick, there's kind of a low chance of you clipping through the wall. But I got it on the third kick, which is reasonable. I mean, it's not that bad. And now I'm using the height of the switch to be able to backflip to Chunky's room from out of bounds, which raises my height yet again. This whole section of Helm is basically using a series of height boosts to get up to the higher levels of the level. I don't know, higher floors of the level and reach the end. Picking up a few oranges here is helpful because I will be using them later. Here I have to jump into like a little gap so that I can fit through the wall there. And this is the final stretch, just heading to key 8. Like a little side note about the way that MMM works is that I have to save the game here because I got second try TBS. If I were to get an odd numbered try, then I would have to not save the game. It's just a weird quirk of how the game keeps your file loaded in memory versus not. Anyway, it's only 4 minutes into the intro story cutscene, and it's about 4 minutes and 28 seconds when the last cutscene thing starts. So because I'm ahead of that, it means that this glitch will work. And now what's happening is that the intro story glitch is nearing the end, and I'm in the main menu. So because I'm in the main menu, I can go to things like Factory Boss, and what that does is it tells the game that, oh, I've been to Factory Boss, and also the game gives me moves that you would need to beat it, and more. And then the game still has all those moves sort of loaded for you in memory, and then the intro story glitch activates the final transition, which is DK in the treehouse, while you're in the main menu, which pulls you right out of the main menu back into your file, but you have all those moves unlocked. So now I have Simian Slam, I have Ponytail Twirl, Hunky Chunky, Rocket Barrel, and more. Everything I need to beat the game from here on. Plus I have Key 8. In order to actually unlock the K-Rool battle for the final boss, I'm going to need to also get Key 3 because the developers check that you have it in order to just open the final boss area. They assume that if you get Key 8 then you've gotten all of the other keys except for Key 3 because Key 3 does not open a level on its own. So they have to check for it. So here's where the oranges are going to help me out. By throwing 4 oranges at a time, when they explode the game will lag a lot, and that will assist you into clipping through objects like this bee locker here and let me enter the level without having any golden bananas. So this is Frantic Factory, the level with Mad Jack as the boss. Side effect of main menu moves is that I can't take any damage, and I also can't pause the game because the game, those are like side effects of being in the main menu that get preserved when you get pulled into the file like this. So I had to tag warp 1 there because otherwise I wouldn't have a quick way to leave the level since I can't pause and exit the level. That's just like another little out of bounds. You can use the robot to push yourself against the wall. And now I'm just heading for the closest Troffenskopf portal, which is where I can fight the boss. That split didn't go super smoothly, but not super badly either. Looks like I lost 7 seconds to the gold that I have. Using a moon kick here is a really easy way to avoid having to open this door to enter the final boss. Or not final boss, boss of the level. And here's Mad Jack. Probably one of the worst parts of the run. It's a pretty difficult fight to do with DK. Normally you're supposed to use Tiny and the Ponytail Twirl to cross these platforms. So with DK he has a little bit worse movement. And the other thing about this fight that really sucks is the location of the switch that you need to pound is completely random for each phase, and there are 5 phases. So 5 chances for good or bad luck. Basically, you just want the switch to be as close to you as possible when it spawns, and for the last round also as close to Mad Jack as possible, so that you can reach the key quickly. These first two switches were not particularly bad. They were okay. They weren't like perfect either, but unfortunately I got very bad luck for all of the remaining switches, so I lost a lot of time. I'm doing some kicks here to try to manipulate his jumps to being faster. Yeah, this was a really bad switch. I didn't even see it at first, and then I realized it was behind him. So pretty much like the worst thing that can happen is if the switch is like diagonally across him, across from Mad Jack, then you have to go 4 squares around him to reach it, which is pretty bad. For the last 2 phases of the fight, Mad Jack's jumping pattern changes a bit, and he can now jump back to the square he came from to chase you. So right here, for example, he does that. Now I tried to get him to end on a slow jump to manipulate RNG into possibly being favorable, but actually I got the worst luck again. It put the switch all the way on the other side. So, for example, let's say the switch spawned right on the blue platform that I was jumping to. That would have saved like 10 seconds or something. For the last phase here, he turns invisible, but otherwise it's pretty much the same as the previous phase, except he's jumping a little bit faster. So here's the last switch. This one wasn't so bad, but it wasn't optimal either. I waited here so that his laser wouldn't connect while I was trying to hit the switch, because you have to dodge the lasers as well. So basically I got like 3 average switches and 2 bad switches. All in all, this lost about 14 seconds to my best Mad Jack. So that's like the main potential time save of this run. I mentioned before I can't pause, so I have to use this warp pad to exit the level. And at this point I have key 8 and key 3, which are the only collectibles that you need to beat this game. All you have to do at this point is give the keys to K. Lumsy, who, you know, that's the guy who you open his cage with the keys. You're supposed to have all 8 keys, but by just giving him these 2, the game will assume you've gotten all of them and open the final boss. And from this point on, pretty much the only, you know, gameplay left is like traveling to the final boss and completing the boss. But the boss is not like not a small part of the run. It's actually almost half of the length of the entire run, because you have to fight him with each Kong. So 5 phases, and each phase has like its own gimmick and thing that you have to do to take him down. So all in all, the fight takes about 12 minutes optimally on N64. And this run actually, the highlight of this run in terms of execution is the final boss. I think it's the best I've ever performed on the final boss in an any % run. It's not strictly the fastest time to completing the final boss I've ever had, but that's because there is an inherent disadvantage where you lose a few seconds in tiny phase by not having entered Mini Monkey Barrel before. So, but even with that, this was still like within a few seconds of my best K roll ever. That beaver has hit me in like 3 runs, I think. So I like made sure that I went around him this time. Alright, so we've entered the final boss now. DK's phase is probably the easiest. You just have to enter the barrels at the top of the 4 corners and time your hit so that it reaches K-Rool when he's vulnerable. K-Rool's patterns on all of the phases, except perhaps Tiny's, I think, but on most of the phases are completely predictable and they're not random. I think there might be an exception with Tiny phase, but it's hard to tell, and it usually doesn't affect the run. But anyway, DK phase is straightforward, and the main technique that I'll be using in K-Rool fight is looking away from the arena when I can to reduce the slowdown and reduce the lag. So you'll notice the first thing I do when I gain control is I press R to unlock the camera from looking at K-Rool, so I can swing it around and just face away from the arena. That way I don't have to watch K-Rool and the shockwaves, or at least I still see a little bit of the shockwaves, but not much, so it doesn't really lag. And I just have to do the 4 hits on the top of the poles. I turn the camera so I'm continuing to face away from the arena. And each of these hits, you just have to wait a certain amount of time before he gets vulnerable, and then fire. So, DK phase was good. Diddy's phase is definitely the hardest one in a run because the rocket barrel control is pretty sensitive and can be finicky, and you have to shoot switches on either side of each light, and there are 4 lights. There's a trick to shooting the switches quicker, which is that you can kind of poke your gun into the light and shoot through it like that. So my goal is to shoot one of the targets that's on my side, and then poke my gun through to shoot the far side target as quickly as I can. The first 2 lights were really good. The 3rd light and the 4th light, I think they were a little bit slow, but neither was that bad. That one I was a little too far inside the light, so it took me longer to turn to reach the target in front of me. The thing is that you don't hit the target in front of, like, the target on your side doesn't get hit if you are poking through it. But all in all, that was alright. There is an additional time saver that you can luckily get in this phase. If the light falls on K-Rool at just the right time, he can run to the next light quicker. We call it like a quick run or a quick walk. And it saves like maybe 3 seconds each time it happens, but it's very rare, so I don't expect to get it usually, and I didn't get it there. Anyways, with those phases out of the way, Lanky's phase is just a matter of executing the pattern efficiently and without making movement mistakes. K-Rool walks around the arena in a set pattern, so as long as I throw the bananas where I'm supposed to and reach the pads in time and don't miss any switches, don't miss any throws, I'm pretty much always going to get roughly the same time on this phase. So, I don't know, this phase is pretty straightforward when you have a plan and have a pattern to follow. I just go around the arena. Each banana is placed to try to minimize the distance between K-Rool and the banana, while still having him be able to hit it in between. And also, it's designed so that you don't have to wait before playing when reaching any of the pads. So on each case, I'm just playing immediately when I hit the pad, and the pattern worked out in this run quite nicely, where he finishes right on the final banana. That's not a real gold split. I just split a little late on Diddy. I'm just gonna not save these. I mean, the splits are just like the same as the run, so all of them should be 0. At this point, I think most people who are watching the stream live probably saw from here to the end when it happened, but I'm going to continue this for the sake of completing the video with commentary. So, for Tiny's phase, I made a little mistake there. The goal for when you're outside of the shoe is to look away from the arena as much as possible to reduce lag. K-Rool's shockwaves are very laggy, so I'm just trying to not look at them for as long as I can, and then head to the center when the mini monkey barrel is about to pop. Once inside the shoe, the toe patterns are fastest to avoid if you can both dodge them and stay in first person for the longest time possible. Why first person? Well, it was found that the game lags a lot when you're using the default camera inside the shoe. Actually, Signa, another top runner of this game, I remember when he released a video on YouTube showing that you could save potentially like 20 seconds over how we used to fight this boss just by using first person and looking down as much as you could. The other thing about this fight is that in this route of any percent, oranges are very limited, and I usually don't have, well, I pretty much never have 10 oranges, which is what you would ideally want to have to do the 10 hits on the toes. I only had 4 oranges, so I think I find it best to prioritize using an orange for the last hit of each toe. The reason for this is that for the previous hits, even if you don't hit it immediately, K-Rool doesn't actually wait any longer to start the next round of attacks, so you can afford to shoot one of like the middle shots like a second slow and it doesn't lose any time. So I just shoot those other ones with a gun like that, but I still try to look down as much as possible because of the lag reduction. Like there, I just look up to shoot it and look back down. Also, I should mention that the pattern that the toes attack you in is not random, so I have it memorized, so I just know which spot to go in to dodge it. I think it's actually 8 oranges, Falcon, if you don't miss anything, because it would be, you have 13 from the 3 in Helm, and then you use 1 at key 8, so you have 12, and then you would use 4 in Factory Early, so then you'd have 8 left. But I used 8 at Factory Early, so I had 4 left. I did mess up the movement here a little bit. I walked into the toe before it retracted, so that may have lost about half a second just worth of lag. Although, I don't think I actually lost that much time on my gold split, if I remember correctly, so, I mean, at least I didn't get hit at the end of a phase, because then you would lose more time, but getting hit in the middle of his attacks only loses whatever amount of lag happens. Hey Baster, we're just rewatching the run I got half an hour ago. Alright, so yeah, I really have not made many mistakes in this K-Rool fight at all. There was like a little bit of slowness on Diddy Phase's third and fourth lights, and a little bit of slowness on Tiny's phase, but this was a really good K-Rool fight for me. I guess Chunky Phase also lost almost a second, but I'm really happy with how I played towards the end of this run. For Chunky Phase, you just have to run back and forth between the middle and the corners to pound the switch, use the pad, and jump in the barrel. I'm using a trick called slam or pound cancel. Slam cancel, pound cancel. Where if you attack and jump immediately after pounding, then you can move a little bit quicker. So I can use that to reach the, just to move out of the ground pound quicker. Right there. And this is already the last hit, so this is pretty much the end of the run. I look down here to try to reduce lag as well. And final punch. So there it is. That's the run I got. It's a new world record for N64. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Even though I got poor luck